This is the EVP Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the EVP Podcast. I'm Beaker.
And I'm Ghosted.
I'm DVO.
And we talk about ghosts
And stuff.
and stuff.
And
The crackling
stuff.
is real.
There you go.
What? The Kraken is real?
The Kraken is real.
It is.
Release the Kraken.
It's real.
It's real. Oh, so this week we're talking about some kind of a touchy subject, a little bit. A lot of it. But this week, first off, I want to thank Brandy for joining us last week and helping us with the bonanza. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun. Ghost and Hose, y'all.
Ghost and Hose. We did have a comment on YouTube about that.
Okay.
I didn't have it. I'm not ready. We did have a comment, though. He said Ghost and Hose cracked him up, something like that. But while I'm looking that up, real quick, we're going to be talking about we're going to Japan this week.
Yes.
We're going to Aokigahara.
Oh, good job. I was looking at them like, how am I going to try to say this?
I've been listening to several podcasts on the pronunciation.
But now that you said it, I can definitely see that.
Well, haven't you heard of that one DJ, Steve Aoki?
Yes.
Yeah, it's half of the word right there.
That's true. Half of it are there. Aokigahara.
Aokigahara. Which is, I'll tell you what that means in a second.
It means Gojira.
Godziwa. Godziwa is talking. Ghost and Hose. LOL. Hey, I heard yes, is what he said. So on the one EVP where
Did he do it?
where he said, did he do it? And I heard did, and you guys heard yes. Chris who commented on YouTube, he also heard it say yes. Now he said, when you guys said murdered, I almost swallowed my toothpick. You guys kill me. LOL. Smiley face, cryy face. I don't remember saying that, but apparently we did.
Murder?
Murder
who?
There was murder. There's something afoot at the Circle K. And our good friend Paul Welch also commented. He just said he had footage of the investigation that he did at the Bonanza.
Yes.
He even has an interview that he did with the owner. That has not yet been released, according to him, but they are supposed to go back and film some more at the Delta, which is
across the street.
Is across the street, which is where the
Same
suicide
owner.
table. Yeah, same owner. It's where the suicide table originally was before it blew up.
And Paul actually sent me a link to the YouTube video of them investigating.
Oh, nice. I was going to ask if that's going to all be posted soon on his Paranormal Veracity.
He might have posted. Maybe our episode put pressure on him to hurry and put it out.
Yeah, hurry up, Paul.
Yeah,
Come on.
get your shit together.
Yeah, what are you waiting on?
I'll have to look at the time on that one. But actually, I'll be more than happy to share that video or the link to the video.
Well, yeah, we'll share the link when we find it, if we find it.
No, got it.
We'll find it. You got it. Share the link.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the social medias,
Yes.
we do that stuff.
More exposure for them.
Yeah.
In fact, speaking of that, we were just looking
Speaking of
up.
exposure,
No, we were speaking of being exposed. We were just looking up the directions to Asylum 49. You were looking up on the good old Google Maps.
Google Maps.
And the first picture that came up was Paul Welch's team
Yep.
as he investigated.
Paul Welch, our friend Corey, who used to work at the, her mom used to own Leslie's family. Her mom was Leslie. She owned Family Tree Restaurant.
Yeah.
So
that was the first picture that popped up when we were looking at
Google Maps.
on Google Maps to get the directions.
if you want to see what Paul looks like, you'll Google Maps it.
We should do a Google Maps review there today. Maybe we'll be the first.
Oh, by the way,
Today, are we going there today?
we're going there right after we record this
Actually,
episode. We're peacing
Spoiler
out.
alert!
We're going. So next week's episode, guess what it's going to be? We're talking about Sasquatch.
Yes, finally.
Or it could be Asylum 49. You have a 50-50 chance of getting it right on what we're going to record about next. But today,
Yes.
Aokigahara,
Yes.
which it means blue tree meadow.
Yes.
Another nickname of it is Jukai.
That sounds so lovely. Blue Tree Meadow. Sounds lovely.
Jukai means sea of trees.
Yes.
And I mean, it's very lovely. It's a beautiful forest, from what I understand.
It's thick.
It's a thick forest, just northwest of Mount Fuji in Japan, and
It's actually at the base.
it is at the base, northwest side of and the cool thing about this forest. So in 826, I think it was, 864, Mount Fuji exploded for
yes.
I think it was like 10 days or something like that. Just it was erupting. I think that's
I've heard.
the last
It
time
produced great apples, though.
yes, and water. No, that's Fiji. Sorry. So it basically covered this whole area with lava, volcanic rock,
Magma.
liquid hot magma. How about new? Yes, magma, lava, rock, all on the ground. So when you walk through this forest, this is what is on the ground, lava rock, and then this amazing forest like grew from this chaos.
I don't get that. I don't know how like lush places like Hawaii and Japan and the Philippines all grow from volcanic ash and rock.
Rich in minerals. It's good for the plants. It's
I know,
like
it's awesome.
super.
But I'm saying it covers it and it hardens. So I think it's like it almost feels like a steel plate, right? Like how's anything going to break through and grow out of it? But it does. It's super strong.
Yeah, it's very strong.
Super strong. Yeah, I mean, if you were to be on top of Mount Fuji, you'd just see like this whole. I mean, this is why they call it, the Blue Tree Meadow, or the nickname the Jukai, the Sea of Trees, is just because it's just they're so packed in together. You just see this like huge. I think it's 13 square miles. This huge, just like forest. Everything is just so packed and tight together. The trees grew so close together that when you're actually inside,
There's no light.
there's like no light.
Mm-hmm.
There's no wind. There's hardly any animals that live in the forest.
I've heard that people go to explore. They try to tie like a rope to themselves so they don't get lost.
They tie ropes to themselves, or they'll tie like in one of the documentaries I was watching, they actually found there was a lot of like streamers type stuff that they tie to one tree, or like painter's tape, where they tie to a tree.
It's like a marker.
Yeah, and they leave a trail as they're going into the forest. Like they highly recommend that you stay to the trails, because you will get lost in this place if you wander off the trails. That's just how massive this forest is and how densely populated the trees are. They're just so close together. Like you're going to get lost if you don't follow the trails. But this place, super haunted.
And why is it super
Why is it haunted? Well, so the nickname, if you haven't figured out what we're talking about yet, Aokigahara is the name of the actual forest itself. But to English speakers, it has been nicknamed the Suicide Forest.
That's how I know it.
And that's how I knew it of it too. Like when I picked this topic, I'm like, yeah, let's do the Suicide Forest. And I started doing the research, and it's like,
It has a name.
There's a real name.
Aokigahara.
It's not called Suicide Forest.
No. But so there's several theories as to why it's haunted. The first one is an old Japanese tradition that I believe you wanted to talk about, DVO.
Yeah. So this is called, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Sorry if I'm not. Ubasute.
I believe that's right. Sounds pretty close.
Ubasute is the mythical practice of senicide. Now I was like, what the heck is senicide? Because obviously we're talking about the suicide forest. Because I know the word, the what's it called? At the end of the words?
Side
means
Suffix.
to kill.
Suffix.
Yeah,
Yes.
side. Side means to put to death, they had to kill. So it's like, what is that? So what it is when an elderly relative is carried off into the mountain or some other remote location, like a forest, and just left there to die. So I don't know if that means that they know, like, okay, I'm kind of a burden. Just go ahead and just take me out to the back of the forest there.
Don't kill me,
much.
but just forget about me.
It was like their version of like when grandpa's getting a little too old to take care of themselves, you go put them in a home.
Right.
In Japan, they just they put you out.
Walk you to the forest.
Yeah, walking forests.
And it was usually the women.
And that's what they tell the grandkids. Hey, we're just going to take a old grandma out
her last walk.
out for a walk.
Well, it's like I think they didn't want to feel like they were a burden to their family.
Yeah,
like
if they something honorable.
Yeah, if times were tough on the family, it was just one less dependent the family had to worry about. So they would go out to the forest.
It's an honorable thing. It's kind of like falling on their sword, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to win this battle. You're not going to kill me. I'm going to do it myself. So it's like falling on their own sword. It's kind of like, hey, I know I'm more of a burden. Let's just go for a walk.
Well, see, back in the day, like only samurai were really the ones that committed suicide.
Yeah,
like what you're talking about, falling on the sword.
Harry Carey.
I don't think that's.
I got it.
Yeah, Helter Skelter. I think is what you're.
No.
Harry Carey.
Harry Carey.
Do you know that the moon isn't really made of green cheese? Are you talking about the Cubs guy?
Harry Carey.
Hey, listen. If the moon was made of barbecue spare ribs, would you go there and eat it?
It's like Harry Carey and Bill Cosby in that one. That was like a combo.
Right?
Yeah, I know. I used to do. I had to have to watch Will Ferrell's impersonation.
That's the best
before I
one.
could get it. Yeah. So that has nothing to do with anything. But what was the? I can't remember what the term was when the samurai
Harry
would kill
Carey.
themselves. No, it's not Harry Carey.
Look it up.
You look at it.
You look it up. It's not Harry
It's
Carey.
HARIKARI.
I don't know why I gotta prove
Right?
myself.
Hurrikai?
Harigari.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mean, you have all these old people that go out in the forest and they die.
Ritual suicide by disembowelment practiced by the Japanese samurai or formally decreed by a court in lieu of the death penalty. Harigari.
Well, you know what? I was wrong.
Ghosty got it.
Again.
That's magic.
That's not better than Senocide.
Set aside, yes.
But I guess it was the honorable thing to do. Like, okay, they were like, hey, I know I'm kind of losing it. Let's play a game. Let's play hide and seek in the forest. Let's see if I can make it back here. And they just like lay down. All right, that's it. So that was the practice of ubasute.
And well, so they think that and I'm probably going to say this wrong. Yuri or Yuri, I think is the name of the Japanese ghost. It's like this is basically, so these elderly people are taken out there and left for dead. They either die from the elements or from animals, but they're said to come back as ghosts to haunt the forest because they're kind of not happy with the way they died, I'm assuming. So that's one of the things that kind of, I mean, it hasn't been historically documented. There is no actual evidence of this taking place in the forest. It's just
Maybe
Japanese
in this
mythology.
particular
It's like-
forest, but it's just
in this forest,
something
yeah.
that did happen though.
So it's kind of like folklore.
Well, they said that when Destination Truth went there, they might have videotaped a Yurei.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's
a ghost.
Yes, so
That's cool.
so there's a lot of apparitions that have been talked about that have been seen there, of course, because of all the suicides. Why wouldn't there be? You know?
Yeah.
And so apparently, when Destination Truth was there, they got something on camera that looks like a light anomaly, but it could have been a ghost, could have been they don't know, but they found something. They got something on camera.
Interesting.
I would love to see that.
But when people do when they tie rope, like put markers in the forest
Yeah.
to keep their way, mainly also because there's not a good GPS signal in there or phone signal in there.
I can see
Oh,
that.
yeah. All the
Because-
lava rock.
Well, yeah, the high deposits of iron.
Yes.
So high iron deposits because of the lava, and then the heavy coverage of the tree. GPS signals, phone signals, they get pretty cut off in there.
Called the canopy.
Canopy. Under the canopy.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're kind of in this little, I don't know, they're sandwiched in between
Right,
a no
right.
signal zone.
That makes sense.
They're in a dead zone.
Yeah, so,
Like, literally and figuratively.
yes, I like that. But yeah, so they make their path that way. That way they can't, God, I bet hunting Pokemon would be hard in there.
Well, you get no signal for your
Yeah,
phone. So
that's
how would-
probably where they hide the best Pokemon.
Probably. I mean, it's a historical monument, I'm assuming, at this point. Or it's a natural thing. So that's where they put all the good Pokemon.
Yep.
Like Benson Grist Mill. I remember when that stupid game came out, there were so many people, hey, there's a Pokemon over by that big building. Can I go get it? No, we're talking to Ghost.
Can I go get it?
It literally happened. They were just, friggin' midnight. We're out there ghost hunting at Benson Grist Mill, and people would be trying to come in with their Pokemon Go. Because I played it a little bit. I'm not into Pokemon. I was just curious. But
Sure.
But yeah, I do know that like historical landmarks or like monuments and stuff.
They put the
like
best
that,
Pokemon.
They put the best Pokemon at those. And Benson Grist Mill being a monument or a landmark or whatever, I had good Pokemon there. So we had so many people coming in wanting to know if they could go. So it would make sense that that's where the best place to Pokemon hunt is the forest.
But going back to these strings that people would kind of tie themselves so they don't get lost in the forest, there are reports that those strings have been deliberately cut. By
Right.
who knows what.
Yeah, so other people just running around the forest cutting people's strings.
Is it people?
Or it
Exactly.
could be the Yuri.
Or is it Yuri?
Yuri? I don't know. I'm probably butchering that.
So they're besides the apparitions, they've been hearing screams.
Yep.
And so I guess a reporter, or who was it? Somebody, a writer for the Japan Times, where he was in the forest and he heard a terrifying, blood-curdling scream. So he went to investigate the source of the noise, and I'll read what it says. He came across the dead body of a man at the base of a tree. A quick examination revealed that the corpse had been dead for some time and could not have been the source of the scream. But maybe it was his spirit.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And up until like 1950, these Yuri was what was considered to be haunting the forest. And about the 50s is when it started to become known as what people know it as today, the suicide forest. The reason for that is, actually it was 1960s, but there was, they think part of the start of it, there was this book called, I'm going to say this so wrong, it's Kyurei Jukai?
Let me see.
Right there, underlined.
Oh, yeah. Kuroi Jukai.
Yeah, sure, that. It roughly translated means the Black Sea of Trees. And it's a story where these two lovers end up going out into a forest. It doesn't specify, or I guess it does say Aokigahara. These two lovers go out in the forest and they commit suicide. And this book came out in the 60s. They think that the 50s is actually when the suicides kind of started. And because of all the suicides that have been going on in this forest since the 50s, 60s, 70s, this forest is actually the second most popular spot, and I don't know if popular is the right word, but this is where the second most amount of suicides in the world take place, behind the Golden Gate Bridge.
Uh-huh.
Golden Gate Bridge being the number one place in the world where people commit suicide.
I didn't know it was number one. I knew it was a high amount, but I didn't know it was number one. Interesting.
Yeah, it's number one suicide forest, number two. And in fact, there's so many people that commit suicide. It's been, they estimate at one point in time, you'd have about 100 people a year committing suicide in this forest. I think the record was actually in 2004. There was like something like 104 or something like that. There was there was over 100 confirmed suicides.
It makes me wonder if like they have officials whose only job is go retrieve bodies.
So actually, yes.
Oh.
Since 1970, a small army of police, volunteers, and journalists have annually scoured the area in search of bodies.
Oh, of course, journalists.
Yep, of course. And podcasters. Maybe.
YouTubers.
YouTubers. We'll get to the YouTuber in a
Yes.
minute. But yeah, it's almost guaranteed they're going to find a body. I know 108 bodies in 2004. That's the record that they've recovered in 1 year. It got to the point where the Japanese government stopped releasing numbers. I think 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. They stopped releasing numbers of all the suicides that were going on in the forest because they felt like it might be encouraging people to go and commit suicide, which is weird. The number one cause of death, I guess, if you will, in the forest is actually hanging, people hanging themselves, closely followed by drug overdose.
Oh. Huh.
So those are the two most common ways of people unaliving themselves in the forest. And I think you can go camping, but I do know that like if the police see you coming in there with camping gear, they will try to turn you around and tell you to go home. Usually people that go camping in the forest are people that are undecided on whether or not they want to commit suicide. So they're going to spend time alone in the forest in isolation to make that decision. In the documentary I was watching, this geologist that had been visiting the forest for like 20 years, he was pointing out a car that had been abandoned in the parking lot for months. You start to see all the debris from trees falling on top of it. You just see it all being built up. On this particular car, one of the side mirrors were actually broken off and was sitting on the hood of the car.
So out there, we're like, oops, sorry.
Pretty much. So, I mean, I guess it's not uncommon to just see abandoned cars in the parking lot. As you're coming into the forest, there's several signs basically telling you to go home. One of the signs does have the Japanese suicide prevention hotline phone number on it. I know one of the signs that say, your life is a gift that was given to you by your parents. Consider your family and your children before you go into the forest. there's several signs just throughout the entrance.
Right, I see that.
Trying to deter people from taking their lives, basically. Because, like I said, I mean, they say they average about 100 suicides a year in this forest.
Yeah, and he said in a certain year they stopped calculating, but up until that year, I think they had figured it was around 500 deaths at that point. So, there's been more since then. They just want to release those numbers.
2010, I think this is why they stopped. There was 247 attempted suicides in the forest with 54 confirmed successes.
Wow. So only a quarter make it.
But still, that's a crazy amount of people. So when you've got this much death going
attempts, yeah, I mean, that's...
I mean, you got this much... I mean, you can only imagine all the sorrow and the despair, depression, anxiety, all these negative emotions that are being brought into the forest and then just kind of being left there.
True.
A lot of people say that the forest feels very surreal and like peaceful, but that's kind of the odd part about it, I guess. That kind of makes it eerie to some people.
Because this would be so quiet.
Or like I said earlier, there's no wind. The trees are so packed close together. There's no wind. There's hardly any animals. So yeah, it's super quiet in there. The geologist guy was actually, they found a tent out there, and according to him, if you're finding a tent out there that's been abandoned, chances are the body hasn't been found yet, because when they do find the bodies, the volunteers and that, they clear up all that stuff and they bring it back out. But along the trail and stuff, I guess you can find like abandoned shoes and all sorts of like debris, like even, I believe they said even like bones or human remains.
Wow.
Sometimes.
Because they didn't get found.
Yeah.
Like it's so thick they can't probably find everybody. You have to have a huge team, combing through it.
Imagine walking through there and not realizing you probably have bodies hanging above your head.
Right.
Oh,
because you're looking at the trail not to lose track of the trail.
Yeah.
And then over time, just the bones falling off the body.
Well, and you just got to realize how big this place is too. 13 square miles.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's huge.
Right. So there's a Buddhist monk that, and the monks have set up altars all throughout the forest to also try to deter what they believe are evil spirits in the forest, because they think there are some. And one of the Buddhist monks says, the spirits are calling people here to kill themselves. The spirits of the people who have already committed suicide before. So this monk thinks that some of the people that have committed suicide are calling more people into the forest. That's his theory.
Oh, that makes sense. Usually that if there is like negative energy, it's going to want to continue that cycle.
Right.
It's going to want to keep that going.
I don't know how many altars are in this forest, but
I hear there's like tons of caves in this place too.
Oh, interesting.
It sounds pretty interesting and cool to explore. But
yeah, even if you want to go on a hike, sounds like a really cool place to go on a hike.
So it's definitely on like top 5 places that I want to visit in the world. It has been in the top 5 for many, many years now. I think it's probably second to Bran Castle, which is Dracula's castle, Vlad the Impaler's castle.
So in this forest, it seems like the most common things that are happening, other like paranormal anyway, are people seeing like spirits moving throughout the trees and forests, and then like just random screams are happening in the forest. That kind of what you guys are getting from it?
Pretty much.
yeah.
I mean, I think too, like, I don't know, most people, if they see a spirit in America anyways, depending on who you are, most people I know would probably run from it, but I know a lot of people that have tried to track it down, and if you're running in the forest after,
Right.
I mean, like even on the Haunted Places episode, they did a little short story about this situation, where these 2 guys are going through the forest, and they hear the scream, and so they're running to see if someone needs help, and it's basically the scream is just causing them to get separated and get lost in the forest. And in the story, I don't know how much truth is to this, because this particular podcast is more of a story type, but they do put in facts as well. But the guy like gets back to the hotel, and he's telling him like this monk let him out of the forest, and the lady at the counter was just looking at him like he was crazy, and she's like, "There's no monks working in the forest today."
Oh, interesting.
So it is impossible. It's entirely possible there could be monks in there trying to
Help people.
as well. But I don't know for sure.
Or someone's working overtime.
Someone's working overtime.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's
I'd want to go. I definitely check it out.
I want to go just for a hike.
I think it would be fun to hike through. Do you know who else thought
probably
it would be
none of
fun
our
to-
equipment would even work in there, right?
Probably.
Besides
Well,
the cameras.
I think
No.
the Mel meter.
Yeah, any EMF
Because the
detectors.
Mel meter is just EMF.
Well, then they work even better because there's no underground wires or electricity.
Exactly.
Right.
So they'd even be more accurate.
The Mel meter, EMF meter.
Because they should, for no reason, go off.
Right.
Oh, were you going to talk about the YouTuber?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of people who like to go on hikes, 2017, 2018, end of 17, beginning of 18. I keep calling him Luke Paul. I know that's not his name.
Logan.
It's Logan Paul.
Yeah.
This guy is a 100% grade A douchebag. I do
No
not
argument.
like. I do not like anything I've ever seen this guy do.
Some of his vines were funny.
But he's-
Remember Vine, guys?
No.
I do.
Should I?
I never watched. I watched like clips.
So this guy,
Uh-huh.
famous, I guess, YouTube vlogger, whatever you want to call him. Him and his buddies decided to go to Aokigahara and film. And, you know, that's something that I would want to do myself as well for the paranormal aspect. They claim they were there for the haunted aspect of the forest. While they were there, they happened to come across someone who had hung themselves, and it looks fairly recent.
Yeah, so in their video, there's literally somebody hanging from a tree.
So this video was posted to YouTube and shortly taken down after the huge amounts of backlash this douchebag got. I did find the video. If you can find it if you want. I wouldn't recommend going and finding it if you're squeamish. I showed it to these guys for the sake of the podcast. I found it and showed it to them so we could talk about this. And the guy, like him and his crew, when they found the guy, not only did they film it, they went up and they got real close to him to where they were actually like touching it, and they didn't blur out the guy's face or anything. They're posting, this is someone's loved one.
Right.
You know, this is someone's family member, someone's husband, someone's dad, someone's son, someone's brother. You know, he could be any of those things, if not all of those things.
Right.
And they've got the camera like right up on this guy's face, and they post this shit all over YouTube. And they do start out with, you know, taking suicide very seriously, recommending people, if they're feeling like they want to take their own life, to reach out, to get help, talk to them, talk to anybody. And they weren't at first like making fun of the situation. Right. And I kind of like, in my opinion, if I had come across that, I would probably stop filming.
Yes.
You know, and if I did keep filming that, I would not ever post anything like that. I'd probably show it to the authorities so they can like find the
right.
And they did call the authorities. They did call the police to come and you know, they reported the body. But if I had any video evidence of that, I'd probably destroy it. I wouldn't show it to anybody outside of the people that had already seen it. But I'm not going to send it to them. And like that shit's just getting.
Were they live streaming, or was it just they recorded it and then posted
he records
later?
and then post it. So
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He recorded and posted it later. So that was only the small part of the problem. Like that did upset a lot of people that he got in close on the face and all that. And I remembered when this happened. Like I remember it being in the news and everything.
Yeah.
What really pissed people off, and I don't know if this was just like a coping mechanism because he wasn't fully comprehending. Like you just stumbled across a dead body.
Yes.
Like how would you guys feel? Like what would you feel if you were out on a hike, say going up Mount Olympus here in Utah, and you saw someone that had like fallen and died?
I'd be pretty rattled by it.
Yeah, I'd be. I mean, it's those moments where like, oh shit, just got real.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's one of those moments, and it's like, okay, you got to like get into a different type of mindset and like do something.
So I'm assuming he was in a different mindset. Obviously not in the right mindset, because of course at first they went and started filming it, but then it's when he started laughing and kind of making fun of the situation.
Yeah.
That's what really pissed people off, and rightfully so.
Right. I can't remember exactly what he said. I don't even remember. It was something like, "We gotta get out of here," but not this guy. I don't remember. Something on those
stupid
lines.
shit like that.
And I get it. Like your whole career has been based on making people laugh and making funny jokes, and so it's kind of like you feel like you're on, even though the camera's still on you. So I think there's a moment where he kind of still feels like he's on, It was just in very poor taste.
Yeah, I mean,
But I do think it was like a coping mechanism. It was like when people tell you something and you're like, ha, crazy. Like, it's kind of like that, right?
like someone tells you this story and you're just like, it's like you don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, that would make more sense if that was like the initial response. But they went and filmed the guy first, and then that's what I'm. It might have been him trying to process it after the fact, but still, like, if you do stupid shit like that and you're filming it, don't show the world. I'm like, first off, don't do that.
Right.
They should have turned the cameras off and reported it immediately. That should have been the end of it. They should have never filmed the guy.
Yeah.
Let alone post it to the internet. And like, if I remember correctly, like, he didn't ever feel bad about filming the guy. He only took it down because, not because he felt bad for what he did. It's
the backlash.
It was the backlash. He took it down because of the public's reaction. I mean, this is why I said when I first started talking about this guy, like, ultimate douchebag.
Yeah. Well, he is. He's always been his whole career. After his football career failed, he's been kind of being famous from douchebaggery.
Yeah, when he got too old for Nickelodeon.
No, you think of his brother?
Oh, aren't they both from that?
No.
Oh, I thought they were both that.
I've never even heard of him before this.
Well, I know. I didn't hear about them until they were already like YouTubers, and then I thought they were both like Nickelodeon kids.
This particular video that we're talking about here
was on Nickelodeon.
Was not Nickelodeon. No, that's the first time I've ever heard of this guy.
Oh yeah,
that's the first time I ever heard of this guy, and I'm like,
it was the first time I heard about him, and then when I seen him, and then I recognized him from other like those Vine clips, and I remember seeing stuff where he like flew a little person in a suitcase.
I never saw any of it.
Yeah, there's like these old Vines, and he stuffed a little person in a suitcase and flew him to. I think they went to Japan, or no, France. I think they went to France or something.
Don't support this guy. Don't. I know we're talking.
He's
about
boxing
him.
now. He's in. Well, actually, he's a podcaster now. He
was still making videos. The last time I heard anything from him
does.
was when there was the riots going on across the whole country because of a incident that occurred almost 2 years ago. This month, actually, that caused a lot of riots throughout the whole country. He was involved in like a mall looting. And he filmed it, of course, because that's what he does.
No, I think that was the brother.
No, this is Logan.
Oh, was it?
Is his name Logan? Logan. Yeah. I keep wanting to say Luke, but it's Logan. Don't look up Luke Paul. That's probably not going to give you this guy and not give him support. Yeah, I don't like this guy.
This guy.
Yeah.
Just say it. Just say
he is not
like
a fan. He is not a fan of the EVP podcast. I'll tell you that right now. If he was, we would kick him off.
Boy, are you mad?
We kick him off our yacht.
Shun the non-believers.
No hunted hot for you.
He's not getting a ticket for this ghost yacht.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We don't want your business, sir.
No, now I'm thinking about these authorities, these officials, these volunteers that go in. Like, I wonder what they're experiencing, because that's gonna be heavy stuff. You know, you're finding
I'm
somebody.
Sure they have to like talk to a counselor after so many.
Yeah, because I think it's very depressing, and in this forest where it's very dark, it's gloomy, and yeah, like
because it's like a different circumstance dealing with dead bodies when it's like coming across dead bodies that you're not prepared for, and like a coroner coming to a or like a.
Well,
because like someone's job dealing with dead bodies, like like a mortician,
you're
or a coroner.
Expecting that,
you expect to come up on dead bodies, and you know what you're dealing with.
That's true.
Well, the geologist in the documentary I was watching, he's been going in the forest for 20 years. He's obviously not going in looking for dead bodies. He's a geologist, but he said in his 20-year span or 20-plus year span that he's been doing this, he personally has come across over 100 dead bodies.
That would suck.
So it's just like the only person
I'm sure he desensitizes after a while.
I'm sure he does. And the only person like I can think that I know that might be able to comprehend this better than most of us would be our friend Lurch that was on one of our earlier episodes, who was a funeral director at one point. So he was around a lot of dead bodies.
Right. Yeah, but yeah.
But I don't know if
he's expecting it. He's expecting it.
But I don't know that. I mean, I'd have to ask him. But I don't know if you ever get used to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there would be like a mental thing that would like start messing with you after a while. Like coming across dead bodies unexpectedly would. you know, because if you're a funeral director, you know what you're coming into.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. People were like, I'm tired of hiking here. Every time I come here, there's a dead body. Cannot deal with this anymore.
You know, a sociopath would just be like, another one. Another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, that'd be... Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel if I ran across... I mean, I guess if I was in this particular forest, I guess I wouldn't be too surprised. But in random forests, I think I'd be... It catch me off guard. I wouldn't know how to react. Definitely got to call the authorities. And
I know for sure. Like, I sometimes film our investigations. If I had that video footage, it would have been deleted. It would have been gone before I even got home.
yeah.
Like, that's not something. It's not funny. It's not something to joke around
Well,
about.
I think at this point, knowing what this forest is about, if you go in there, you might go in there knowing, okay, I might see a dead body today.
Right. But yeah, and it'd probably still be surreal and kind of a surprise at the same
Yeah.
time. And like I said, if I had video footage of it, I'm not sharing it. It's going away.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what he should have done, in my opinion. But, you know, when you're wanting to be famous and whatever, stupid people.
Should start commenting on his YouTube stuff and say, never forget Aokigahara.
How bravely was that?
Now go listen to the EVP podcast.
Post our link.
Post a link to
Comments
EVP.
of all of his videos.
Listen to us trash Logan Paul.
F this guy.
We should name that the episode. F Logan Paul. That's not what we're going to call it.
But there's definitely...
But this is haunted.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the suicides is the dead getaway. I don't know about the senicides. I don't know if that really happened in this forest.
Yeah, I think that's just like a general, like, happened close to your house.
Yeah, but it could have happened in this forest. But you know, that is more, and I'm assuming it's more of a peaceful thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's more out of love and respect. I'm assuming. I don't know the whole, the whole
You're giving them a final
ritual of
send-off.
it. Yeah. But yeah, the suicides, I can
Their
definitely
last
see
great
that.
adventure.
Because obviously, like Beaker was saying earlier, they go in with a mindset. They go in with a thought process. They go in with a very high intent. And there's probably some type of energy involved with that. And obviously, as they fulfill what they were going to do, it's definitely going to leave something behind. You know, it's going to leave something behind. And I don't know. I mean, this just kind of stirred up my thought process right now. You know, you leave your spirit, and with like we were talking about how they're kind of sandwiched between this canopy of trees and this lava rock bed. I mean, are spirits like unable to go through portals? Are they unable to move around? Maybe they're almost a little trapped. Maybe I just started thinking that
They could just be lost just in the forest.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, so these spirits are maybe just kind of like wandering through. Like, I'm kind of don't know where to go here. This is a really thick forest. And
Yeah, there's probably a lot of it.
I don't really know what happened to me now, right? Because it's almost maybe like again, we've never died, so we don't know. But I'm just kind of thinking right now as I'm getting these emotions like hitting me. Like, it's like you almost wake up from a dream. You're like, okay, where am I? How do I get out of here? Like, I just for some reason I'm feeling a spirit feeling that way.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because like their body just committed suicide, and it feels like they just kind of woke from a dream. Like, wait, where am I? How am I here? How do I get out of here? It's kind of what I'm just kind of like feeling right now.
Well, see, the other thing I was thinking, because you know how I said the feeling that people get in there is kind of like a surreal, like peaceful feeling, and not so much like the despair, like the negative feelings that would drive someone to commit suicide.
Right.
From what I've heard, and obviously I don't know this to be fact because I've never gotten that close to wanting to do it, but they say that a person that commits suicide, they're happiest right before they do it because they know that once they've made that decision, they're going to follow through with it. They're happy because they know that their suffering is going to end.
Right.
And I don't know for sure. I'm definitely not recommending that anyone go try it.
Yeah.
You know, if for some reason you're struggling with shit, email us, evp.pod@gmail.com. The emails come straight to my phone, and if it's something that, like, if you put in the subject title SOS, I will get right back to you instantly. But, you know, or reach out to a family member, friends, you know, or there's the suicide hotline. You can find it on Google.
I actually pulled it up. It's 1-800-273-8255. You can put that in the description.
Yeah, like if you're feeling this, please reach out to somebody. But you know, like I said, the rumor is that people are happiest right before they do it. So if they're happy when they die, it would kind of leave that kind of peaceful, surreal feeling. Would make sense to me,
Yeah.
anyways.
From what I've heard of most people that are trying to start regretting it as it's happening, and they're like, "Oh shit, I didn't want this to happen." Like, "Oh, I didn't want to do that," and they're almost in a panic state as it's happening.
I have heard that too. I had a friend that he was trying to hang himself, and it was actually the same friend that I saw playing with a Ouija board. But he said he had the same thing. Like as he was doing that, he's just like, you know, said to himself, "What the are you doing?"
Yeah, so that's
So that
from
makes
what
sense,
I've heard.
too.
Yeah, is that there's a lot of like panicking, like, "Oh shit, I didn't mean to do this. Oh shit, it's happening," you know, and it's too late.
I just don't know. Like,
Or they're
I don't
able
want
to
to
stop
find.
it. If they're
I don't
able to
want to
stop
find
it,
out either.
Right.
Yeah, and then if they're able to stop it, they're more like, "Oh shit, I'm glad this will stop. This was, I didn't want this to happen," and
Yeah.
and then they go seek help.
You know, I'm somewhat of an empath. Like I feel things, and I had a really close friend of mine who hung himself in a wooded area by his apartments, and this was in our late 20s, and like right now I just kind of put myself in that position, and like I can actually almost kind of see a spirit kind of coming up and looking at their body like, what have I just done? And they are quiet, and they are serene, and they are at peace, but they're also kind of like scared, like, what do I do now? Like, I don't know how to get out of this forest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of freaky.
So yeah,
Yeah, interesting. So this forest is a very interesting forest.
We should go check it out.
We should.
I get
I
a
just want to.
sense.
I don't even know if I want to investigate. I think I just want to kind of.
Yeah, just to check it out.
Just go hike.
Just
That's
go
what I'm
for a
saying.
walk.
Yeah, don't leave the trail though.
Like I kind of sense from this forest that it's very quiet, very peaceful, but also very heavy. Like it feels heavy.
Like anytime I've seen stuff from it, like video, it always looks like it's like foggy. In there.
Yeah. Hey, which is probably due to the high altitude, and probably the clouds are also stuck there. Like clouds,
Well, just the humidity gets trapped.
The clouds humidity go in the forest. Like, wait, how do I get out of here now?
Yep, the clouds get trapped. They're going, shit, 13 miles of this shit.
Which definitely could add to the spook factor, because you might see maybe a gleam of light come through, and you think, oh, that was a spirit just walked by. That could also kind of play with the eyes and the mind a little bit as well.
I was saying foggy forest. That makes for a good horror movie.
Yeah, good horrors like that. Don't you
Yeah,
say?
good horrors.
Horrors. Because I always say horror, and everyone thinks I'm saying horror movie.
Stop watching all those horror movies.
I know there's some movies that were loosely based on it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just like playing off the whole haunted
Yeah.
forest, but
But it's very
no true
foggy, those
stories.
movies.
Yep, they are
But they're
very
foggy.
foggy.
2015 movie, The Sea of Trees with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, there you
all
go.
right. Ken Watanabe.
Watanabe.
Come on.
He's okay. I don't.
Ken is an amazing actor.
I don't know who that is. I
I
know
bet
who-
if you saw his picture, you'd know.
probably. And Naomi Watts. She's also in it. And then there's a 2016 movie called The Forest.
Yeah, that's.
Those are loosely based on that.
I've actually never heard of the Sea of Trees.
I haven't either, but it's got two big names in it.
See, Ken Watanabe.
Oh yeah, I think wasn't he in like
A lot of things.
A lot.
a lot of things?
Anything that America makes with Japanese actors, he's in it.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he was in The Wolverine.
I guarantee
Very
he was
possible.
in the Wolverine.
He's been in a lot of movies. He's great.
Yeah,
Great actor.
Like, I'll repeat what I said. Anytime.
Pretty much.
All right. Interesting. Yeah. The Suicide Forest, the Aokigahara Forest.
Oh, he was in Godzilla in 2014.
Of course.
Transformers.
Probably the Japan part.
Batman Begins.
When he went to
okay.
Japan. when he learned how to be a samurai.
Yeah.
Well, no. So he was Ra's al Ghul's decoy. So he was the one that was pretending to be Ra's al Ghul. So yeah,
Samurai stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of typecasting.
He's very
Stupid
typecast.
Yes,
But he's
he's-
great.
He's great at what he does.
Yes.
He is.
He's great
You know-
at being Japanese. He knows how to be Japanese more
his
than
lane
any
and he
American.
sticks in it.
It's amazing. He knows how to be his culture.
Exactly. That's why he's the guy. Oh, there's a Japanese part. I know a guy. Well,
right.
let's call that an episode. Let's go get some spooks on, yeah?
All right.
All right, everybody. Don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
Harry Carey here saying goodbye.
This is the EVP Podcast.